You're listening to the Two Tongues Podcast. And now your hosts, Kyle and Chris.
Boom. Short intro. I like it.
Changing it up.
Short, sweet, to the point.
Changing it up.
Yep. None of this anarchy. Could it actually work?
Does God exist? Shit, I don't know.
Yeah, man.
But I'm pretty sure he does.
You said the other day that we're coming up on 3 years.
We are. Isn't that weird?
We've been using that intro track for 3 years now. Almost 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Come a long way in the podcast.
Yeah, it's coming to its own. That's for sure.
Yeah. Definitely. Used to be I don't know, man. It's come a long way. It's been a journey, 3-year journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad we did it, though. I'm glad we're doing it.
Yeah, man. Good times. But I was feeling a little tired. That's why I had to get this coffee. Although coffee doesn't really make me like I could drink a cup of coffee and go to bed, but I'm just hoping for like placebo or something. You know?
Yeah. Not I, man. I can't do caffeine after like 3 in the afternoon.
So I went up to Michigan and I, got some cannabis products.
Yes, you did. Mm-hmm.
I don't smoke that often, but I like to keep it around. Every now and then, just have a little what's the word I'm looking for? Like a little mental vacation.
Yeah, sure.
So I went up there to pick some up, and I got a free pack of gummies, and I took all of them. I took all 4 of them, and I barely felt anything.
Oh shit! I thought you were going to tell me you took a bunch because you thought it was not going to affect you.
No, even with the professional,
Do you
products.
Do you remember the milligrams that?
I think it was 200 a piece, so I think I ate 800 milligrams.
Yeah, it seems like a lot.
Seems like a lot. I ate it over the course of like an hour and a half.
Yeah. You said up there in Michigan, all of the dispensaries or whatever they're called, they're all clustered together there?
Yeah.
And it's like as soon as you get over the border?
Basically, went to is not immediately across the border. It's pretty close, though. It's not very far. But, yeah, I went up there, and there's like 4 or 5, like right where I got.
Are they standalone buildings, or are they in a strip mall? Like
No,
next
they're
to a
all
CVS?
standalone buildings.
Okay.
The ones that I went to, anyways. There might be some that are,
Are they strategically located by like donut shops and restaurants?
Nope, not the ones I went to. There was a Taco Bell right next to it and a gas station.
Brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Taco Bell made a wise decision.
If I had to guess, I'd say the Taco Bell was there first.
Well, the weed shop then made a wise decision.
Yep. It does seem a little trashy though, to be honest. Yeah, like just weed shop, tons of them all over the place.
I guess it depends on how you do it. Like I don't know. You ever see like a shopping complex or a restaurant or something that gets a makeover? They like come out and they change the facade of it, update it, make it look new.
Yeah.
I think there's like a classy way of doing it where it could be fine. It wouldn't necessarily be trashy, right? It's like, imagine it looks like a fancy doctor's office or something, super professional, brick facade, beautiful sign out front, beautiful shrubberies,
Yeah, I mean, they don't look trashy in the sense that they all look like gas stations or anything like that. They look very professional, but it's just that there's so many of them,
Oh,
that's really what it is. It's that there's like on every fucking corner. It's like, holy shit, man. Tons of billboards. Like it's crazy.
But you don't think Starbucks is trashy and they're on every corner?
It's not the same way, man.
What's different? Tell me. I want to
like
know.
You've never seen. Have you ever been to a place where there's a Starbucks here, a Starbucks here, a Starbucks here, and a Starbucks here?
No, I can understand your point. That's weird.
It's weird.
It's a little weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like like literally, you could start at one and walk to all four of them that are in that area in 2 minutes. They're like right next to each other.
Are they like not carrying the same shit? They're all different.
I think that they probably get their stuff from different growers, but I don't know that for sure.
It just seems strange, like unless one shop was cheaper or one shop had different stuff the other shop didn't have. Like, what's the incentive to me to go to one or the other? Why not just be one shop?
Yeah.
You know, consolidate, have a mega Walmart weed shop. What would we call that? And how long?
Weed Mart?
And how long until there's a Weed Mart? That's what I want to know.
Weed Mart's coming, probably.
Oh, it's coming.
Yeah.
Sam Walton Jr., get on that.
Probably happening. But yeah, so that was an interesting experience.
Huh.
Never been up, never bought weed legally before.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's weird. It's a weird new world we're living in.
It's coming for Ohio. It's coming for us.
Yep.
Legal weed.
It's legal now, right?
It is legal, but you can't buy it in stores. There's no stores. I mean, there's stores for medical people, but
Yeah.
yeah, we're not medical.
No. Otherwise, you have to find a clandestine merchant, you know?
Yep. Clandestine merchant. That's a good one.
Yeah.
The
I borrowed clandestine from my memories of watching Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia, because he always used that word, clandestine chemists, that
Gotcha.
people brewing up all the drugs. What else? The other word I used, merchant. I pulled from just years of playing RPGs. You know, you gotta find that merchant. You can buy supplies. You need potions. You need
always a merchant.
You need some Phoenix Downs, Kyle. You can't be caught in the woods without a couple of Phoenix Downs. What happens if your healer dies? What happens with your healer dies, Kyle?
nothing good.
You gotta be prepared.
Yeah.
You know,
Always a merchant.
you need to find one. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you definitely really loved the RPGs. I got into them a little bit, but not as much.
Yeah.
Definitely not as much.
I was thinking about that. I've been seeing some advertisements for the new Grand Theft Auto and how great it looks. And I was just thinking about how distracting video games were for me. Like they served a purpose. Like today, for instance, there was a stretch of today where I was kind of bored and I was kind of anxious. And I didn't even feel like doing something that like I would generally like to spend my spare time doing.
Yeah.
So it just occurred to me, like, you know what, man, if I could just play a video game right now, I bet you it would be soothing. I'd feel like I was doing something, you know. But I haven't played video games in years. My point is they're getting so good now.
Yeah.
And it was like it was nothing short of a miracle what separated me from that as a pastime, you know, like playing video games as a pastime. It's not something I do anymore, but it's something that I always did growing up, all the way up into a moment, actually, when I had that mystical experience. That was the last time I ever played a video game.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that, I'd still be doing it. And they're just getting better and more addictive. And I just see like a dangerous possibility where people are getting lazier and more naive and more apt to be under the control of an authority. You know, people are becoming more sheep-like, you know, politically. And I just wonder how many lives are going to be ruined. This is like a weird thing for me to be arguing, but how many lives are going to be ruined by wasting so much effort, you know, leveling up. It's like, dude, you could be out in the world leveling up, but you're in there, you know, playing the new Final Fantasy, leveling up, you know. And then there's the twist that some people make a lot of money playing video games, and that's fucking weird. It's like, golly, man.
Yeah. I feel like a cranky old man about that kind of stuff. Like, I don't feel like they should be making money from playing video games. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah. It's just like if you ask my dad whether college football players should be paid.
Yeah.
He's staunchly against it.
Yeah.
And I just kind of always like agreed with him. And
I don't agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm slowly changing my mind on that too. I think, yeah, especially how much money they're making off of their name and their likeness, and now they're getting paid for that. You know, there's some I don't know what it is, but there's some money that these players are getting, which I think is the reason why Ohio State's quarterback left. By the way,
yeah,
because why the fuck would you leave Ohio State when you're the starting quarterback for Ohio State? But he was going to get more at Syracuse in his image, likeness, royalties, or whatever they're paying these players.
I
now.
thought it had something to do with the fact that we brought in some like hot shot high school quarterback who is like, is probably like, he's not going to get the starting job.
That might be part of the narrative, but
Yeah.
can you imagine?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, I don't think it's likely that he would have lost the job to a fucking freshman.
I don't know. From what I heard, we signed like an ace. Like he's like very well might be our starting quarterback.
Okay, well, what was his name? Gord?
I don't remember.
That's the guy that's in there now. Anyway,
yeah.
Anyway, this is enough college football talk. That's neither here nor there. We were talking about weed shops. We were talking about Final Fantasy, leveling up. Where we end? Where we leave off? What's up with you, man? What have you been thinking about? What's been on your mind?
Not much, man. I've just been like, it's just been work. It's been a lot of work recently.
Yeah.
So been kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Blank-minded, you know? Like not able to take a lot of stuff in because I'm working. So just kind of like banging on about bending pipes and shit like that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good sometimes though. It's therapeutic sometimes.
Yeah. It's been stressful, so it's not been great.
Oh, yeah.
It's all right. I mean, it is what it is. It's work. So
yeah,
man.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I've had my share of concerns in the work arena. So
yep, it'd be nice if I could just like win the lottery, you know, not have to worry about it anymore.
I played the lottery for the first time. Like sometimes my wife likes to buy scratch offs and she likes to play Keno. She spends a little bit of money, not a lot of money, but every now and then we'll buy like, Mega Millions ticket or something. Just in case when the jackpot gets pretty high.
Yeah.
And the other day I spent like $50 on those. I don't know if it was Mega Millions or what it was, but one of those.
Yeah.
And it was back when the jackpot was way high.
Yeah, I'll play when it gets real high like that too. Just in case.
Wouldn't it be awesome, man? Wouldn't it be fucking awesome?
You know those people who say that if they won the lottery, they would still work?
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
No?
I would be done.
I would be done immediately.
I could find so many things that I would rather do.
Yeah.
With my time.
Yeah.
And if you want $1 billion, that doesn't,
So I asked my wife and my kids this question, and I'll ask you this question too. If something miraculous like that were to happen and you won, let's say you won like $350 million, so much money. What do you spend that money on? Like I'm not asking what do you spend every penny. I'm saying when all of a sudden you find yourself inexplicably wealthy and you can buy whatever you want, not necessarily for you, but you have enough money to buy whatever you want, and by golly, you're going to spend some money because you just newly became rich and you want to fucking see what it's all about. What do you buy? And who? And if it's not for yourself, for who?
Mainly crack.
Yeah.
Lots of crack. Maybe some like good old fashioned cocaine too,
Yeah.
But crack.
Just a bunch of crack. Yeah.
Lots of crack, man. Like a jetliner full of crack.
Mm.
Yep.
It's a great idea.
Yep. That's it.
It's not only a recreation, that's an investment.
It is.
It's only going to increase in value.
I could sell it.
Yes, because after you become wildly wealthy, immediately become a drug dealer.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yep. No, I mean I'd probably buy I'd probably buy a house to live in, and I'd also buy a piece of property where I could build the house that I really wanted. Then I'd give the house that I bought to my brother or something like that.
That sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the house that you really want what is there broad strokes an idea what this is? This house?
Just a house.
What's you
out
got
in
a
the middle of
fantasy
nowhere?
House? Okay, yeah. Just wooded.
Heavily wooded, yeah.
You got like
hunting land.
You got a generator there.
Yeah.
You got
a well.
A well, yeah. Yeah, sure you do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, man. That's basically it. I'd just buy that. And then I'd just live, I'd live like better than I live now, obviously, but I wouldn't live like I wouldn't be balling,
No.
I mean, I'd have, I'd buy a nice car, sure, I'd buy,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't buy like a Bugatti or anything
No.
like that.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about that too. Like, because I have similar thoughts. Like, if I had all the money in the world and I could buy a house anywhere and whatever kind I wanted, the just sky's the limit. I'm definitely living out in the forest somewhere.
Yeah.
I can tell you that much. Also, the idea of these people that have bought these old bomb shelters and these super duper wealthy people, and they've made them these dope the missile silos, and they've turned them into bomb shelter.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've seen some of the pictures.
I've seen some, yeah.
Imagine one of those, like your house is like just a general size cabin out in the forest, but underneath it's just a fucking missile silo turned into a dope ass 6-story deep flat,
Yep.
I don't know.
Pretty sweet.
I'm getting a little sci-fi on you, but
I mean,
I said the sky was the limit.
Well, that's not into the sky. That's into the ground.
You're goddamn right it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck the sky. You're thinking like Elon Musk. You need to be thinking like a mole.
You need to be thinking like a mole. Did you see there was an article that said somebody accused Elon Musk of being on drugs or something at an important meeting?
He probably was. Good for him. Go Elon.
Yeah. Rumors and
yeah, I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of the things I wrote down to talk to you about, so it just popped in my head spontaneously.
I was gonna say something about Elon. I can't remember what it was though.
Yeah, I don't
know. Oh, did you weigh yourself?
No,
you didn't weigh yourself.
No, I should have, but so this comes up seemingly out of the blue to the people listening, but it's the new year, and we were just like, let's commit to being healthy or whatever. So that's why he asked the question.
Just out of nowhere.
And no, I didn't. I definitely should have. Maybe I still should. Maybe I should now. Although I did a fast I wanted to talk to you about as well. So I probably should have weighed myself before, because I don't have any idea if I lost weight during the fast. Yeah. But anyway, do you weighed yourself? Or,
I did, yeah.
And you're surprised by the number, or?
No, I had a feeling I was going to be in about the area that I was. I was 306. That's definitely the heaviest I've ever been.
Yeah,
so.
Boy. Fuck, man.
Yeah. So
gonna get on that.
Been on it for almost a week now, so I haven't weighed myself again yet.
Been on it keto diet?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's this point?
Not just
just whatever.
Just whatever.
Just
yeah.
Carbs. Okay.
Yeah.
When I was doing it, I used to get a lot of ground turkey, like frozen dark meat ground turkey, and just brown it up in the pan and add whatever vegetables I wanted to it. And then I would just melt cheese on top of it, eat it with a fork. It was fucking delicious. It was I called it my keto hamburger helper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So I
like ground turkey.
Yeah, man.
I don't
the ground turkey at Aldi, the dark meat ground turkey frozen in a tube.
Little tube.
It's really, really delicious.
Tube of turkey.
So my brother, he wanted to get serious about his health, try to lose weight this year.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a whole plan about what he wants to do. He was inspired by Dana White and what Dana White did to lose weight. So I don't exactly know the details there, but it involves in the beginning some kind of a extended fast, and then like really disciplined intermittent fasting afterwards. So that's his plan, something like that. And he was going to go, I think if I remember him correctly, he was going to go like 14 days with no food. Now,
that's crazy.
Now that is crazy, and it sounds crazy, but I did some looking into it, and it turns out the human being can go. I think it's like up to. It's at least 20 days. Maybe it's 40 days.
I don't think that it's crazy because I think you would die or anything.
Yeah.
It's just crazy because to go from like not doing anything like that to be like, I'm going to fast for 14 days. That's insane.
It is insane. Yeah. But it's a goal.
Yeah.
And I think he went 4 or 5 days.
Nice.
Now he says he's going to start his intermittent fasting, which is impressive. I told him I would go 3 days with him, because I did that once before when you were doing that fasting, and I was like, shit, let me try it. I went 3 days.
Yep.
This time I went 4 days.
Nice.
And I was starting to. It's weird because I committed myself to it, and it just meant like I just flipped some kind of switch mentally, where I was literally sitting at the dinner table with my family night after night, having not eaten in 24 hours, 48 hours. It's just sitting there with them while they ate, just talking to them and, enjoying watching my kids eat and all that. It didn't bother me at all. There's like Christmas cookies in the other room. Nobody's watching. Nobody's watching. I got to walk by that room, a dozen times. But because I had committed myself to it, it was just no temptation. It was really interesting how I can't explain it really. Just sometimes I'm motivated enough to do that. This time it was just like a whim kind of thing, but I had the motivation. I don't know what. So I went 4 days, and I could tell a dramatic difference in looking at myself in the mirror.
Nice.
But I think a lot of that was just like water weight and inflammation, because when you eat an American diet, drinking alcohol and eating carbohydrates, your body is just constantly just fucked, man. It's like all the way ramped up. And all that shit was gone, and I was like, fuck, man. But
feeling pretty good.
But then I went back to eating, and it's still what I was doing before, which is just one meal a day. I'm doing intermittent fasting basically all day, and I come home and I eat dinner. And I've been trying to be careful with it, but it hasn't really been clean keto. I've been trying to be careful with it. So I don't have any idea what I would have been when I started. And even to know the difference between where I was when I broke the fast and started eating again, because I have like last night I had some like bread, just to see, if within a short period of time that would have made a difference.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I know it does. Sometimes when I was like weighing myself every day and trying really hard, sometimes you'd be like 5 pounds different one day to the next. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's definitely up and down. That's for sure. There's a big range. You'd kind of like, if you don't pay attention to your weight on a daily basis, you'd be surprised how much it can fluctuate.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's kind of like a paranoid habit, man. Like once when you get disciplined and you have to pay attention to that for the first time, then it becomes like second nature, and you're weighing yourself every day, those little changes in your weight, like cause you anxiety, if it goes in the wrong direction, you're like, shit, like I'm 3 pounds heavier. What did I eat? And then you start like trying to make modifications like every week or every day to account for the changes in your weight,
Yeah.
And it's good in one way. It's good to know. It's good to stay on top of it, but it becomes like a paranoia. It becomes like an anxiety.
I intentionally don't weigh myself all the time. I don't want to do that.
I don't blame you.
I'm not interested in that.
Mm-mm.
As long as my general trajectory is down, that's fine with me.
Yeah, man. We're going on vacation next month.
Yeah.
My wife's boss is sending us on vacation again. If it wasn't for him, we would never go on vacation. Partly because it's fucking expensive, and partly because my wife's she can be I don't want to say cheap, but let's just say
frugal,
a little frugal. And then just like making the decision to take time off work and throw a wrench in your routine. It's just like, that's a lot of work, man. Vacation is a lot of fucking work.
Oh, yeah.
But if someone's paying for it, you're like, I guess we're going on vacation. So we're going. We were talking about going to Mexico. I gave my wife a little bit of shit about it because I told you about it. I was a little concerned about the safety of the kids if we have the whole family there. And I don't know what it's like. I've never been there, but I heard lots of scary shit. Anyway, we're going to Turks and Caicos. We're going to the Caribbean.
Turks and Caicos.
Yeah. My sister and her husband went there. A boss from a couple jobs ago that I had, she has a house there. And she says it's gorgeous.
Nice.
It's absolutely gorgeous. It's ridiculously expensive there because it's an island. Everything gets shipped into it and all that. But they have like, gorgeous white sand beaches and all that stuff. So that's what we're doing. We're going to take the kids. We're going to go there.
Hell yeah. Mm. Should be fun.
Yeah. The kids have never seen the ocean.
Next month?
Middle of next month. Yeah. Kids have never seen the ocean. So we've been to Florida. We went to Orlando for Disneyland. they never saw the ocean. So this will be the first time they get to see it, and it's like paradise. I'm hoping that they're going to be thrilled because I just want to see them be thrilled.
Oh yeah, man.
You remember the first time you saw the ocean?
Honestly, no, I can't really pinpoint the first time I saw the ocean. I think it might have been when I went out to California when I was a kid, but I don't know that for a fact.
What about the first time you saw Erie?
I don't really remember that either.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the first time I saw the ocean, I was like 6 years old, and we went to South Carolina. We went to Myrtle Beach with my mom's parents. They were taking all the grandkids and everything. And I remember it was like this long ass drive, right? And we finally get there, and I'd never been on that long of a trip before. I was a little kid. I was like, oh, Jesus, we're here. This is, I was excited that the trip was over. We reached our destination. I didn't know what to expect when we got out there, but everyone was happy and excited. We're taking this trip to this place. And we pulled in to like check in at this hotel. It was like a beachfront hotel, and it was right there. So the office is right there on the beach. There's the ocean. So you open up the van, get out. It's my aunt's van. Get out, and everyone just instinctively took off running into the ocean. It's like with our clothes on, and all the kids just ran into the ocean. And I don't know, man. It was like I never saw anything like that before. It was the culmination of this long ordeal, this long fucking trip in the car that I wasn't used to. I don't know, man. It stuck. It stuck with me. The memory stuck with me.
Yeah.
So I just kind of think that's going to happen with my kids. I don't know. Maybe it won't.
I'm sure it will.
Maybe they'll be like,
to some degree, I'm sure it will,
Yeah.
It's hard to see something like that and not feel like that a little bit,
Yeah.
Unless you're, a little
where you go with this?
insufficient.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I could see somebody who's a little couple fries short of a Happy Meal seeing the ocean be like, water. It's like not that impressive.
Mm. Yeah.
But, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe they're even more blown away by it. Maybe they're like, ooh, I could see that. Either way, I could see
something about that feeling of just seeing something so grand. That feeling of feeling small by comparison to something great. That's an awe feeling. I felt that way when I saw the ocean. I felt that way when the first time I went to Tennessee, first time I was ever like high up in the mountains, and the valley opened up in front of me, and I was just like, whoa. I mean, I can't really remember feeling that way looking at the stars, but surely
I felt that way looking at the moon before.
The moon, yeah.
Back when I thought it was real,
The moon, yeah. Probably felt that way the first time you saw a naked lady, in real life.
Do you remember the first time you saw a naked lady?
In real life?
I guess, yeah. Since you threw that caveat in there.
Well, it makes a difference for sure, because I just mean like in a sexual context. The first time it happened to you in a sexual context.
Yeah.
You were like,
well, I remember that.
Ba-ba! The sky opened up and the light beam shined down on you, and you were like,
I remember that.
I would be the one.
It hasn't happened yet.
Oh yeah, it's
been in my imagination this whole time.
It's coming. Yep.
Yeah. One of these days. Yeah, I forget what I was gonna say.
On New Year's, what'd you do for New Year's?
Nothing. I was asleep.
Oh,
so
that's
early.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the neighbors had a party.
Yeah.
Next door, and they have like a lot of people over, man. It's pretty like chill. Somehow they manage. It's never too loud. It's never a pain in the ass. And their house is very close to our house. Yeah. They had like 75 people in that little house. And they got one of those bubbles. Did you see that bubble?
Yeah.
They got one of those bubbles, those COVID things people were using to like have outdoor dining in their front yard. And they were using it with like a space heater to have a warm place where people, because there were so many people.
It looks like a moon base.
Basically. Yeah. There's a tiki bar and a moon base. Yeah. And it was like themed. The party was themed like disco themed.
Disco.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have on a disco suit?
No, I my daughter has a wig.
Yeah.
That is you won't, I don't think you'll know the reference, but the wig is to one of the characters from Disney's Encanto, It's like a little black afro, basically.
A blafro.
So I threw on the black afro,
Blafro.
and I just went over there with the blafro. But my wife, she had the whole get up on, like a whole get up on.
Yeah.
And the guy who's hosting the party, his wife was just like Saturday Night Fever or whatever that movie was. And this dude,
the guy who painted this painting back
yeah,
there,
the guy, yeah. And he had the most amazing outfit. He was wearing these like aviator sunglasses. No, they were gaiters. They were big ass gaiters, is what they were, and they were like, what's that word where they're like all multicolor, reflective across the surface, whatever that means. And he was wearing like bell bottoms, and he had shoes where the soles of his shoes were like flat, constantly flashing lights. And big old collar with his shirt opened up and his chest hair showing, and it was just like they went all out with it. And it was a rompous time. Why am I telling you about this party?
I don't know, man.
I was going somewhere with the story.
You guys had fun.
Yeah,
they had a good party. It wasn't too loud.
It was a good party. We didn't stay the whole time. We ended up leaving like before 11.
Yeah.
Came home.
Yeah, I was asleep way before midnight.
I was asking you what you did on New Year's. Shit, man, I was going. There was some other rabbit hole. It went a different direction, and then I took the wrong turn at Albuquerque.
Yep, happens. So, yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know. The feeling of awe. I was going somewhere with that too. Well, I tell you what, I feel that way. That feeling of awe sometimes when I learn something that I didn't know, like especially if it's something really cool or something that is really amazing. I know that's subjective, but you ever learn something and you're like, that is amazing. Sometimes I feel awe, like I just saw a beautiful sunset or something, just in situations like that where I'm like, like when I learned that, when I learned about how electricity and magnetism are one force. And the explanation for that was that scientists realized at some point when they could measure it, that if you take an electric field and you just change it, it creates magnetism. And if you take a magnetic field and you just start changing it, you just start moving it around, it creates an electric charge. I'm like, oh shit, these are one thing somehow. And I was just like, that's amazing. That is amazing. Anyway, just shit like that. And I told you I'm working on an episode of the podcast that has to do with mathematics.
Yeah.
This math are like blowing my mind.
Yeah.
You ever watch any of that? Like math documentaries on YouTube?
No.
I'm such a nerd. Golly, I'm a nerd. I will.
No, I don't watch things that are gonna go over my head that much, Like I can watch, enjoy, and like kind of understand some things that are gonna go like a little over my head. But with math, it's like I don't understand basic mathematics. So like I'm not no, I don't ever watch that kind of shit.
There are like YouTube videos that I'll turn on, and within like 20 seconds I turn it off for that exact reason.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's like I don't understand. It's gobbledygook.
I'm not enjoying this.
Yeah.
So somebody on Twitter posted something that was really interesting, and it had to do with a concept called vortex math. So I engaged with the guy. I wish I could remember his name. I would give him a shout out. I engaged with the guy, and he says, I can't really talk to you. I'm not like the expert. So look it up. And the concept is associated with Nikola Tesla. And I'm like, oh, fucking Nikola Tesla. That's cool. Like they're like some mysterious historical characters, and Nikola Tesla is one of those guys. He's like really fucking interesting. Anything about Tesla, it's like he got my attention. And
married a fucking pigeon.
Yeah, he did. Him and Mike Tyson, I think.
Yep.
So Nikola Tesla apparently, and I don't know how much of this is like interpretation and urban legend, but he had some research into this vortex math, where he came up with some idea that there was a code in nature that's revealed by this vortex math. It's called 369 vortex
she's fine.
diagram, something like that. So I look it up.
You don't get that joke at all, do you?
Which one?
It's a yin yang twin, so I never mind.
Yeah.
3-6, never mind.
No, I don't know that. So anyway, this is the secret of the mysteries of nature in this thing. So I watched a couple videos on it, and this is part of this. This is now incorporated in part of this episode that I'm trying to do. It involves this concept, vortex math. And so the idea is, you know what a vortex is? Okay.
Basically a tornado.
Like a tornado. Yeah. And if you can imagine a tornado, right? You got this image of what is it called? The funnel of a tornado. It's got a name.
The funnel.
Whatever. Imagine that like
excuse me.
Like the reflection of that connected to it. So it's like a funnel upside down connected to a funnel right side up. You know what I mean? That shape. Imagine that, and then just imagine that the opening of that tunnel getting large on the top and on the bottom until they connect with one another. So that the vortex, so that the tornado on the top connects to the tornado on the bottom. If you can imagine that.
I guess I can. No, so in the middle it starts to get bigger.
No. The opening of the tunnel. So in a tornado, I'm imagining the opening up top, and it gets narrower as you go down. Right. That's the that's the swirly vortex shape.
Okay.
But imagine at the bottom, it goes the other way. Right. It starts off small and gets big again.
Yeah.
So you have tornado on top, tornado on bottom. So if you were looking at this image, it would just look like, a semicircle's cut out, right? It just looks like a vase.
Yeah. Okay.
But imagine the top of that vase stretches, gets larger, and the same on the bottom, stretches and gets larger until it connects. So then you have these tornadoes. That's the image of the vortex that gets created. And that's kind of what got my attention and what I've gravitated towards using in this episode that I'm working on. But it's not what Tesla thought was important. What he brought up, and I'll do my best to describe this to you. What he brought up is like, if you take a circle, kind of like a clock, but rather than having 12 divided into 12, you just divide it into 10. So this is like a number wheel that he uses to graph this on. And you take the powers of any number. So the powers of 2, 2 squared, 2 cubed, 2 to the 4th, whatever that math is, right? You take the powers of 2, the powers of 3, the powers of 4, whatever you want. You select the number, you take the powers of that number to, let's just say you choose 10, you go down 10 times. And then you find the digital root of that number, which I learned just means you add the digits together. So if you have the number 111, it's 1 plus 1 plus 1. The digital root is 3. So all you're doing is you're getting the powers of a certain number, and you're adding the digits to get the digital root, and then you're plotting that on the number wheel. And when you do that, the powers of a certain number will give you a certain pattern on the number wheel. And every different power you choose gives you a different pattern, almost like a snowflake. And when you start overlapping them, one pattern over the next, eventually you get this vortex shape. That's the whole thing.
Okay.
But what's weird about it is the numbers 3, 6, and 9 on the number wheel.
Damn thing's fine.
They never appear in the pattern of any number. The power of any number you want, except for 3, 6, 9. You're never going to get this pattern. So you're connecting the dots. If I'm taking the digital root of this, maybe the pattern is 1725, and I'll just connect those dots on the number line and make a shape. And every single shape skips 3, 6, 9, except for the numbers 3, 6, 9. So there's something special about the numbers 3, 6, 9 that is revealed by this vortex diagram, and nobody can explain why. So it's a mystery, and that's what Tesla discovered, that there's some weird thing going on with 369.
It's a message. It's been a hidden message in the yin yang twins all this time, and I didn't even know it. I'm gonna look into that.
Now, there's probably some scientists, some mathematicians, there's probably some high school math teachers that are pulling their hair out listening to me try to describe this. Like, no, this is all wrong. Don't listen to anything this guy says. And this is what I mean. It's like, I'm not a mathematician. I'm really interested and fascinated by this. Like, what does this mean? It reveals some pattern in nature, and that's interesting. What does it mean that there's patterns in nature? That's a kind of mystery I can sink my teeth into. I like it. So I want to learn, but I'm trying to do that on YouTube videos, and it's just like, the best I can do is pick up what I can grasp, and there's a lot of it that goes over my head.
You ever think about taking like online courses?
If I had time, I think I would.
Yeah,
I think I would, man.
you can get them pretty easy.
Yeah.
It's not like you'd have to go to like a tutoring thing with a bunch of kids, you know?
Yeah.
Like I used to back in school because I was terrible at math.
Yeah. Do any mathematical ideas ever make you feel all like that?
No, not really.
What about just the concept of infinity?
Well, I mean, so things like post school,
Yeah. Post
school,
yeah,
a little bit, but like not really in a mathematical context, honestly, just more in like a philosophical kind of, the math of it really is not doing anything for me. It's just the idea of infinity, like that kind of, that's kind of crazy.
What about on the science side? Like when you first learned about like cell division, or, like that's how it works, like my body's just made up of these tiny little cells that copy their DNA and split and into they make themselves twins, and it just happens all the time, and that's what keeps me going. Like that's a weird thing to learn for the first time.
It's pretty crazy. I don't understand what that has to do with math, though.
It's just
I'm just joking. You ever see the Katy Perry thing where she's talking to Neil deGrasse Tyson and she's like, "Are science and math related?" She's dead fucking serious, dude.
No,
dead serious.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, it's really funny.
How did he handle it, I wonder?
He was like, he tried to be nice, Of course, I mean, Katy Perry's gonna be easy to be nice to.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Although she does worship the devil, so.
Oh well,
So,
go ahead.
So what were we just talking about?
I'm talking about math, being in awe. Science, math and science and awe.
Yeah, no, not too much of that going on for me.
So the other concept,
I did just figure out that like when you get your bill at a restaurant, if you take the number and you multiply it by like 0.20, if you want to tip 20, I figured out that's how you do that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I just figured that out.
Sure is.
I did it on my own though. Like I didn't have to look it up. I was just like thinking about it.
I have to say there has been times in my adult life where I have used algebra.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
For what? What'd you do?
It's
like a masturbation thing?
No, it's
Is that why you're acting weird about this?
Well, I'm trying to figure out how to say it. It was how to divide up
lube.
How to divide up how to determine the unit cost while dividing up an illicit thing.
Oh, I get it.
All right.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Right on.
So you do use some
Comes
of that
in
math.
handy.
It does, yeah. You have to.
Yeah.
So anyway, the other mathematical concept that's going to be a part of my next whatever podcast, if I can manage to bring this up, is the Mandelbrot set, which I tried to talk about in season 2 one time.
I remember.
I don't know if I was with mixed success trying to talk about it. So it's that and the apparently there is a connection between vortex math, those vortex diagrams I was telling you about, and the Mandelbrot set. That's the thing that I noticed that got me inspired to do a math episode, is the fact that there's a shape, it's a very unique shape. It's called a cartoid that appears on the Mandelbrot set. It's the main feature of the Mandelbrot set, and it appears in the vortex diagram. Why? It's weird. I want to know why.
You're onto something, dude. You're pulling at a thread.
This reminds me of that.
Unravel this bitch.
This reminds me of that movie. Do you remember that movie with Mel Gibson, Conspiracy Theory?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Wow, they just popped in my head from like the vault, deep in the vault.
I love Mel Gibson, man.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Mel Gibson with Matt the other day.
Yeah.
I love Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Mel Gibson's the man.
Yeah.
Conspiracy Theory was really good.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. I was just talking with my friend Joe, who I'm trying to get on the podcast still. I really want to
Catholic
get
fella?
Joe. Yeah,
we
on
should
here.
get him on here.
He's an interesting guy. But he was talking to me about the Patriot and how, like, I like the Patriot. Don't get me wrong. I do like the Patriot.
Sure. It's not
but it is a goofy ass movie, you know?
Yeah.
As far as like action period pieces go,
Yeah.
it's like kind of goofy, you know?
So it's been a really long time since I've rewatched it. What strikes you as goofy?
Some of the humor in it, you know, because there are some humorous moments from time to time.
When they dye their teeth black with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
tea.
Stuff like that.
Weird. Yeah. I never really thought about it, but that's weird.
I mean, it's not weird, but it's just like, it's not. What am I trying to say here? Like, you know how when you go to a comedy and it's a good comedy? Okay, just think of like, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? That movie's funny as fuck.
Yeah.
Now think of like that scene from The Patriot. It's like not as funny. It's like not as like well written. It's like they dyed their teeth, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
It's kind of on the nose.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of like
it is funny. It's funny, but it's not like well thought out or you know.
Well, I mean, that movie had good actors, and so even if the writing was terrible,
it was a good movie. I like The Patriot. Don't get me wrong.
I love period movies in general.
That guy went too soon. How did he die?
Suicide, right? Or was it drug overdose? One or the other.
Can't remember, man.
He died. What he was filming a movie. Was at the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of other actors stepped in to finish that movie.
Yeah, Colin Farrell, Jude Law.
Yeah. And they gave all that money to his daughter.
Yeah.
All those actors have volunteered to finish that film.
Heath Ledger, man. You know, I remember when he died, I was working at Applebee's.
Oh, yeah.
I worked at Applebee's for like 2 weeks, and then I was like, nope, I'm not working here anymore.
I mean, you worked at a lot of restaurants.
I worked at a bunch of places, period. Man, I've had so many fucking jobs.
Why was Applebee's worse than like any other restaurant you've worked at?
Well, working in kitchen sucks just because you have to be there so late, especially at a place like Applebee's.
Yeah.
You know, like kitchen doesn't close till like midnight or something. So you're usually out of there at like 2:00 in the morning. It fucking sucks.
That does suck. It's a young man's burden.
Yeah. Mainly that. Mainly that.
Yeah.
And honestly, just back then I was very lazy.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have much of a work ethic, you know?
Yeah.
I thought I was back then I still thought I was going to be like Bam Margera or something like that. You know, I thought like something was just going to click, something was just going to happen. And I was going to, you know, I don't know what the fuck I thought.
Yeah. I thought about something like that the other day. I thought about when I was like a very young professional in the early days. Like I always take my work seriously.
Yeah. But
boy, man, my heart was not in it in those early days. I like was in a bowls were low enough, they would just let people go home.
Yeah.
And I was always like volunteering to go home. It's like, I got friends. I got better shit to do.
I know what you're talking about.
So I was never the guy that was like, when I was young, I was never the guy that was like,
give me the hours.
Yeah.
And get after it.
And that was back in the day when that actually still kind of mattered. People still, appreciated that.
It still matters.
You think?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think, honestly, I think it matters more now than ever. I think if you show up at a place, if you're a new employee and you show up and you are competent and you show that you care about your work, I think it means more than ever because I think so many people don't right now.
Yeah, that's what I mean, I guess. Yeah. So many people don't.
Yeah, so many people don't that if you show up and you do good work, people are like, oh, I like this person.
Finally.
Yeah.
It's true, man. I talk to a lot of people in the HR world, and everybody has a hard time finding good people.
Yeah.
And keeping them. It's like, it's been a problem for years.
Yep.
I don't know what that means.
It's been a problem. It's been a noticeable problem since COVID. I don't know if you've noticed, but just like,
since COVID,
like fast food places, like a lot of times you go through the drive-through and they're like, sorry, we're not open. We don't have the staff, like we just can't staff.
That's weird, man.
So that has been going on a lot since COVID, things like that. but I do think it was before COVID too. I think that we've been on like a downward slide for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think that I was just talking about this the other day with someone. I think that America and the West and the world really are in for like not great times in the not too distant future.
Yeah. I've been trying.
It's hard to not see how things are not just like sliding down further and further and further.
Yeah, man, I've got some real worries about that myself.
Yeah.
Because I've got young kids too, and it makes me feel like I don't know what to do because I want to do something for them, but I definitely feel worried at times about where things are headed.
We're going to have to do something. I fully believe that we're going to have to do something before the end of our lives. We're going to have to do something to be like, we need to change the direction things are going, or at least we need to break away from the group of people who are insisting that we go in the direction that we are going. You guys keep going in this direction if you want, but we don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about like, I just saw this video the other day of this guy, and I mean, you've seen videos like this before, on the internet, on TV, things like that. But it was this guy, and he looked just awful. You could tell that he has problems, and that he's just, like not in a great position in life, just by looking at him. He looks like unwashed and just not good. And he starts saying something about how I heard you want to come like hang out in my room with me. And he's like giving a tour of his room, and there's just fucking trash everywhere. His mattress doesn't have a sheet on, and it looks disgusting.
Yeah, boy.
And he's got like a bucket that he pisses in next to him. And I think that I think that stuff like that is on the increase in America. I think that there are a lot more people like that than there used to be. A lot more people who are not fit to like go out and hold jobs and things like that. So yeah, man, I don't know.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Like what's causing it?
Oh, well, I mean,
you could say that there's like more people that are addicted to drugs. There's more people that are homeless. There's more people that are mentally ill. There's more people that are happy to live in poverty or unmotivated to, I don't know. You could say all that, but there has to be some reason for the change. There has to be some reason behind all that. It's like if you're, it's like a unhappiness epidemic or a epidemic of meaning or an epidemic of well, I don't know, man. I think it's attached to this thing I tried to talk about on the episode Matt was on about the decline of art. Like it's related to that. I don't know what it is. It's like we need, like Vivek Ramaswamy says, we need a new vision to unite us as a people. And I think there's an interesting, there's something interesting in that. It's like we don't have much unifying us as a people anymore. Because, it's like undermining the United States. We've talked about this before, but like how the image of the United States in the world, but also in the eyes of like young children. When they learn history, it's like America no longer has a glorious history; they have a shameful history. It's like, so when you undermine this nation, this national identity that used to unite us, now we don't want to even associate it with it anymore. At least young people don't. And so we can't even feel like we're united by our national identity. So we need something to unite us. We need something like that. And Vivek thinks that we can restore a national identity, and that it could be. I mean, he also talks about God, being important in that, and it is, and it's related. I mean, no doubt it's related. But it's something like that we need. We need something like that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I don't agree with Vivek in the sense of, like, I don't believe in civic nationalism. Like, I don't believe that America really means anything. I think that like the meaning of America changes. It's changed a bunch over time.
Yeah.
So I don't think that it has like a firm, like concrete meaning.
So hold on, let me push back on you a little bit, because I agree with you in some sense that the meaning changes, the meaning of everything changes, or the interpretation of it changes. But in the case of the United States, you have a immortal constitution, a constitution that doesn't change. And
It does change though.
well, you're right; it can be amended, but the language in the Constitution, that says, you know, human beings have individual values as individuals with rights that are inalienable. When you have that, there's a meaning that, I mean, God, how do you? I guess that you can misinterpret that too. I mean, can you? Can
What were you
you?
gonna say?
Can you misinterpret the idea that we have inalienable rights as individuals when it's written in our founding documents? Is that something that can be?
Sure, I think so. I mean, it's like,
You have to be willfully, misinterpreting that.
really, you think so?
Yeah.
I don't think you'd have to. I think that you could be honestly misinterpreting it. I mean, what is a right? Where do
Well-
rights come from?
Well, the rights are specifically outlined in the Constitution. So it's like these are the rights,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Well, no,
You-
no. I don't mean like what. I'm not asking like what are the rights. I'm saying what is a right, period. Like what is a right fundamentally?
Well, something that's endowed by our Creator, right? So it's not something that can be defined or controlled by government, right? By
We
government
worship
as an
different
authority.
creators, though.
I guess you could try to make that argument. Yeah. But does that change? Well, does that change what the rights are that are being protected?
I would think so. I mean, I would think that
If you believe God is,
like very conservative extremist Muslims are fighting for different rights than like those paganists who put up that statue in Iowa that got torn down.
Mhm.
I would assume that they're fighting for very different rights.
But those aren't the rights that are outlined in the Bill of Rights. So that's what I'm saying, is like the fact that they're written down, they're a permanent fixture that are associated with our having been endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, and these are the rights that we've determined that they are. Now, I mean, I agree. We can change our mind about what those rights are, and that's scary. That's kind of scary. You're right. I mean, hypothetically, Lord forbid, we have enough radical people
to amend
the Constitution.
but we do stuff against the counter to the Constitution all the time.
Sure, we do.
Yeah, so like that's kind of my point. Like, doesn't the Constitution has been you're like being one of these like boomer Constitution worshiping Republicans right now.
Sure.
It's like it's gotten us here,
Mhm.
It's not as powerful as like people want to act like it is. People just, they just do whatever they want.
Yeah, I suppose. I think that the Constitution outlines the form of government that is the most perfect.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's the most perfect that we've yet discovered. But the fact that even if it could be perfect, if we could pen the perfect, Constitution, we all have free will, right? We can all act whether we want to accord with that or not. I mean, I recognize that reality, but I don't know what it means. Does it mean that the enterprise of government is useless, futile? Is that what it means?
Why would it mean that?
because it's all up to interpretation, and you can choose to accord your life with the rules that are outlined or not. So even if we can make the perfect constitution, we all get to decide whether or not we want to honor that. So does it undermine the entire idea of having a constitution?
Gotcha.
I feel like you're being a nihilist.
How?
I don't know.
No, I don't. I think that we need more than the Constitution. I think we need something based on more than the Constitution. I feel like, I would like the Constitution to be more explicitly Christian. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, so the only higher authority than the federal government, if you want to put it that way, or the what's the word I'm looking for? The right of the governed, I guess that's what they call it. Everybody agrees to be governed, right? So you agree upon having an authority over you. So there's that. Where am I going with this?
I don't know.
Oh, God has a higher authority than that. So I guess I see your point, but that only works if everybody believes in that creator, right? Everybody has to be Christian in a Christian nation for them to have a reason to honor that law more than civil law.
You can't, at the very least, you can't be openly anti-Christian. Like, you cannot be Christian, but you can't go around like being like, I'm anti-Christian, and you can't go around undermining the rules and things like that.
Would you say that our society is anti-Christian?
Oh yeah. Wouldn't you?
I would. How long would you say, like, how far back into your history would you say that's true? Like, when did you realize that was the case?
When did I realize that was the case, or how long has that been the case?
Well, I guess I'm interested in what you think about both of those things.
I mean, I realized it was the case before I was a Christian. I knew that it was like not cool to be Christian, so I would say,
yeah,
15 years ago, I could already tell that it was like 15, maybe even like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I could already tell that's like not cool to be Christian.
So when you say it that way, it's not cool to be Christian. I would agree with you. I think in my lifetime, there was never, it was never something that you would be bragging about. I went to church. I was at Sunday school. I was at youth group.
You'd almost be embarrassed.
You'd almost be embarrassed
about it. Don't tell people. I mean, I went to Christian school, so everyone went to church. Well, but yeah, at public schools, yeah. I mean, it's like you're not going there talking about church on Sunday,
Dude, I mentioned this once. Tell me if you remember me mentioning this. Remember me mentioning little skinny Black Anthony from high school?
Yep.
Do you remember what I said about Black Anthony from high school?
Not really. Not off the top of my head.
He would pray before he ate his lunch every day.
Yeah, okay.
He was the only kid I ever saw in public school put his lunch down, close his eyes, fold his hands silently, and then eat his lunch. And I still remember it because I was so like, I don't know how, but he's ashamed of it. That's what I was thinking. He's not ashamed of it.
Yeah.
Because even then, it was socially uncool, man. Even that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So it's been a long time since I have noticed that it's been uncool to be Christian, or that like our society is leaning away from Christian values, things like that.
Do you know any of the statistics about like church rolls falling over the like last 100 years? Because like the Catholic churches, if it wasn't for Central and South America, would be fucking hurting for parishioners or whatever you call them, for converts.
Is that true?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the number of people identifying as Christian, the number of people identifying as religious, those numbers just in every poll since the 70s anyway, declining.
Yeah, I think that what am I trying to say? basically, I think that it's been going down for longer than the 70s, you know?
Yeah,
I think it's
agreed.
been a long time.
So I agree with all of that, that being a Christian in my lifetime was never seen to be cool, certainly not, and almost unacceptable. Certainly not something that you want to brag about or be public about in any way outside of your family or church context.
Yeah.
Then there's declining membership in churches and all of that going on. And then at the same time, there's people who talk about Christian nationalism, and
Yeah.
people that talk about the what word would I want to use? The strong arming of non-Christians into abortion rights and things like that, as though Christians have some huge, powerful voting bloc or authority
No, that's
in
not
society.
I basically consider myself a Christian nationalist at this point, and it's like most of the people who are Christian nationalists don't think that we're going to make a huge difference anytime soon. You know, it's like a long game. So yeah, no, I don't disagree with you that I know that we don't have a huge voting bloc, although what you were talking about a second ago with like church attendance and religiosity having been going down, I do think that people are going to start turning back towards it. I like fully believe that.
Yeah.
That in the next like couple years, you're going to see like a big turn back towards religion.
I think you're right. And I think for part of the reason when we said it wasn't cool, well, we live in this contrarian world now where what's not cool is what's cool. That, that's the whole hipster ethos. That's the whole, it's the whole thing. It's like only a matter of time before Christianity becomes this niche. It's like socially unacceptable, and that's why it has an appeal. It's going to have a renewed public appeal for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of like, we came out of the 50s when everyone was all buttoned up and stuff like that. And then, you get the 60s where you got like, classic rock is starting. And then the 70s when it's like Led Zeppelin's at like the full height of their power.
Yep.
And then you get, it's like later 70s, you get like punk rock, which is just like, you think about like the original punk rock, think about like the Sex Pistols. It's like completely opposite of the 50s,
Yep.
So nowadays, when everything is like the Sex Pistols, society is the Sex Pistols, punk rock is Jesus, So I think that there's some legitimate truth in that.
I think you're right, man.
I do think that
I think the same kind of hipsters that want to ride their bike to save the world, are going to think that
they're going to start saying the N-word.
They're going to think that monogamy and
100%
homemaking are
you're like talking about something that is already like you just like came to a conclusion on your own of something that people have been talking about on the internet for a while now.
Tell me, please.
It's that like this trad lifestyle, it's becoming, people are playing it. People are like, wearing their dresses on TikTok and baking cookies and acting like they're married. I mean, maybe they are married, whatever. But at the end of the day, when you tell that woman who is like in her dress and baking cookies that she shouldn't be able to vote, she's going to melt down. And it's like, then you're not trad. I don't know what the fuck you want me to tell you. No, like, yeah, I mean,
it seems like a step too far, man. I don't know.
No. Not at all, man.
Oh, buddy. Buddy.
Why does that seem like a step too far?
Because, because I think women should be able to vote, I guess.
Why?
I don't know. Because
all women?
Well, that's good. Well, listen, I don't want to, I guess what I want to say is if you asked me, do I think all people should have an equal right to vote? I think the answer is no. I don't think all people are have the same capability to make an informed decision. So I'm not making a distinction between man and woman there. I'm just saying I see some of the point you're making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that all men should be able to vote.
Exactly. Just landowning. Never mind.
Just what?
No. I was going to make a joke about the original state of voting in this country, landowning white males.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all right with that.
Oh God.
You know, like obviously with the white thing, I'm joking, but like, not like landowning. I think that's a good idea. I think that like people who own property, you know,
Yeah.
I think that's maybe a good place to start. Or if you are a net tax negative, you don't get to vote.
Yeah, that's a better idea than landowning because land. I mean, even though it's not necessarily there's a lot of land to be had right now. It's a finite resource, right? So it's like, boy, I don't know if I want to commit myself to that. But yeah, if you're a net negative tax leech,
I see what you're saying with the land thing. I definitely think that's a good point. But honestly, there is a part of me that's like the fewer people voting, the better. Like,
yeah, that's fine if the people that have all the land are voting for the best interest of everyone, but it could easily be abused in that situation.
Yeah, just like I mean, just like this shit show where everyone can fucking vote, you know, where they're arguing for 14-year-olds to be able to vote, that can get abused. That's easily abused. You know?
It is, absolutely.
And it's easily abused because these people are fucking dumb and they like will just fall for TV commercials. You know, they'll see a TV commercial and be like,
yeah, there it is.
You know,
that's it.
Oh
man, God, sometimes I get depressed, man, thinking about this.
Me too. I've been like not in a great mood the last like few weeks, really.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't know, man. Everything seems so fucking bleak.
Yeah.
I try not to be like that. And like, if you like go through my Twitter, I don't like sound, I'm not like a doomer. I'm not like always like everything's fucked. I can't stand people like that.
Yeah.
But I do feel it. I definitely feel it.
Yeah.
Everything seems fucked.
So I'm hopeful. Like, I know that things generally expand to a certain degree and then they collapse back in the pool the other way. So what comes up must go down. The pendulum swings one way, it comes back the other way. I just sort of keep telling myself that we're as far as the pendulum could possibly swing. You know, like there are some things that make me feel like we're starting to come back the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me hopeful. And I just want like attach on to those things and think, you know, we're moving in the right direction. It's only a matter of time. But you know, other times I just feel fucking like you described. It just seems bleak.
Yep.
Buddy.
Yep.
On a more positive note, my wife got me a dope ass Christmas present.
Dope ass, huh?
Look to your left on the floor, or on your right. Excuse me, my left. Okay. On the floor. Do you see that black box over here against the wall?
Yes. Oh yeah.
See that? What does it say?
The Black Books. It's a bunch of girls' phone numbers.
On top of it is what?
The Red Book.
You betcha.
Bunch of Indian girls' phone numbers.
Yes. Oh God. So, all right. So I don't know if you know about the Black Books, but you knew I was reading Carl Jung's Red Book, and that's super interesting. Just the whole concept of the book is super interesting.
Black Book's a lot of fucking books, man.
It's a lot of
big-ass books, too.
A lot of books. So for those people who have no idea what I'm talking about, the psychologist Carl Jung, that he was
pronounced Jung.
Carl Jung. He
got some Jung in the trunk. I don't know what I'm talking about.
So Carl Jung, the psychologist, he was the kind of guy that's into like interpreting dreams and you know, exploring the unconscious and that kind of shit. And he would do this practice he called active imagination, where he would kind of fantasize in a meditative state. Is how I imagine it anyway. He would allow images to come to his mind, just whatever naturally pops in your head. If you close your eyes and you try to clear your head, sometimes things will emerge. You know, you'll have little pictures or little shapes or little feelings or whatever. And he tried to foster all of that. so that if something popped in his head, he would find out how to keep it around. He would find out how to make it clearer, and until he could actually play a little movie. Like he would go into this state of mind where things would pop into his head, and then they would start to interact with each other, and little things would play out, and it was all symbolic to him and weird. And then it was like a dream, and he would come out of it and write down with a dream and what he thought it meant. And he filled a book with this stuff called the Red Book.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And Carl Jung will tell, I don't know if he would use these words, but I'm going to use these words. I think Carl Jung believed that kind of thing, spontaneous images, spontaneous stories, intuitions, epiphanies, these kind of things, unexplained sorts of things, he believed was the unconscious communicating with you, the conscious being.
Man.
And there's not a big difference between the collective unconscious, the way Carl Jung understood it, and the way that some people, myself included, understand God.
Yeah.
So when Carl Jung was writing the Red Book,
Oh,
he was writing what you might call a revelation, a vision from God, like you see in the Bible when Ezekiel or whoever gets a vision.
Yeah.
This is what it is. Something spontaneously coming from the unconscious into his consciousness, and it's a message from God. So that's fucking cool.
Are all of your thoughts messages from God?
My impulse is to say no, but the ones that don't come from you are, I think.
Aren't you God?
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Okay.
So anyway, the black books. Now so you know what the Red Books are and how it got there. Apparently, he publishes the Red Book, and then he keeps doing this for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And he doesn't publish any of that until like last year. And the black books get released. The black books are the last however many years of his life continuing to write down the stories of his active imagination exercises, his communications with God. And it's like, to me, it's kind of like a giant stack of holy books. That's how I look at them. And I am fascinated. I'm really interested to finish the Red Book and to continue to read the black books.
Interesting.
I don't think that the meaning of the Red Books or the black books are going to be the same to me as they were to him. And I don't think that matters exactly.
Yeah.
I think that whatever it means to me is valid, and also maybe a message from God in and of itself. My interpretive structure is also not under my control. How I put things together, how I put meaning together, is something like an epiphany. It just happens to me. I'm not directing it, right? It's something else. And I think I'm really fascinated with that idea right now.
I don't understand how what you're saying. I don't understand how you can make an argument that like all of your thoughts are not God. I don't understand the no. You know, it's like you said, it's yes and no.
Yeah.
I don't understand how it can be no.
Okay, so in this, I'll do my best. That I believe everything that exists is God. Nothing exists apart from God.
Yeah.
To say that all of my thoughts are God is true. In another way, you've made this point many times, there's a distinction between God the Father, the Creator God, and anything manifest, you and me included. There's something different between the transcendent God and the immanent here and now. And I might say even the immanent God and mean that. I lost where I began. How it could be yes and no.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not God the transcendent. I'm not God the Father. I am and I'm not, right?
Yeah.
But like, if all of creation, if all of immanent God is God, which I believe to be the case, then yes, I'm God, and so are my thoughts. but I'm not the transcendent God. So imagine those thoughts that come from the transcendent into the immanent. Those are somehow different from the thoughts I'm generating myself. Even though it's all God, there's some distinction, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I don't necessarily like believe it, but it makes sense.
It's a paradox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you believe that God was speaking to Carl Jung through these, like, you believe that he was interacting with God in these like active imagination sessions?
How would I want to word that? I believe that he was listening differently in his active imagination, so that he was more receptive to it. But that doesn't mean it's a unique thing. It's not like Edward Casey, you know, the sleeping prophet.
I know
Edward
that
Casey.
name, but
Yeah, this is a guy that would lay down and go into a trance, and he would speak, like prophecies and shit. It's not like that. It's not like there was a moment of prophecy. It's like revelation is constantly.
I'm not asking you to like defend it like it's like hokey. I'm just like straight up asking, you think that he was interacting with God in these sessions?
Yeah.
And you feel like God showed him something that was valid.
Yes.
And you believe that you reading it, you can come up with a different message that is also valid.
Yes, I think so.
All right.
Just like you can read the Bible and come up with a valid message.
You said that you felt like they were holy books, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. I think holy books are secondhand in every case, whether it's me reading Carl Jung's Black Books or reading the Vision of Ezekiel or John of Patmos or something.
What do you mean they're secondhand?
They're the ones that had that experience, and I'm just reading about it.
Gotcha.
And that does that I mean, that probably strikes you as a blasphemous a little bit, like
saying that they're secondhand.
Saying that they're secondhand, but also putting up like the Black Book and the Bible in the same category that way.
It does. I mean, I guess it does seem. I guess technically it is blasphemous. I mean, I'm not like super offended by it or anything, but I don't put them. I can't put them in the same category. I mean, I'm not saying that they're not like valuable, full of valuable information, but I don't think that they are holy books. I mean, I think that there's really only one holy book. I don't think that the other ones are really valid.
Yeah, I would say I think that the holy book is the human heart. It's the human experience. Everything you need to know is there.
Well, it says in the Bible that God will write his law on our hearts. So
Jesus, there it is.
Yeah.
I like that. All right. So, how like, I don't know how much you buy into this, or if this is going to even sound right to you, but I keep looking at this painting, this classical painting on the wall behind me. And I'm thinking about art. So like people get inspired to create something, and that's weird in and of itself, the feeling of inspiration, because it's a motivation. But it's a unique motivation. It's a motivation to be creative. And that's a weird thing, man. Like, what is that? You just feel inspired to create, some people feel that more than others. Some people feel that all the time. Some people never feel that.
Mm-hmm.
The desire to create. But when it happens, when the muses, strike you, or whatever the ancient people used to say, you create the art, and it has a certain meaning, maybe to you, maybe not. Maybe you don't know the meaning until it's done, and maybe you're interpreting it as much as everybody else. But there's something spontaneous about art. It's like you don't know what it even is until you start getting halfway into it. It doesn't really flesh out until you're already part way there. Something unconscious is coming out in the art. And then everybody who looks at it afterwards, and all these stuffy people in the museums. They're looking at it, sitting on the bench, quiet, staring at this thing for minutes on end, trying to understand what it means. And everybody takes away something different. And it's strange to me because that seems like the same thing that's happening in the Revelation. Something in your unconscious comes out. If you interpret that as a connection to God and a revelation, I think that's valid. But to interpret that as, the muse is inspiring you to create, that seems like a very similar description. And then what you have at the end is something that is like a relic. It's something that immortalizes that moment of connection to the unconscious, to the divine. And it's a certain kind of thing. It's a kind of thing that has meaning, and nobody can understand exactly where it comes from or what it is. And maybe it's different for everybody, but it's something. Everybody acknowledges it's something. And it's like, that's so powerful to me. That mystery is so powerful that something can come out of us that doesn't seem to belong to us. And once we get it out into the world, it fascinates everybody. Everybody's compelled by it. The myths, the art, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I just see that as sublimely spiritual, like the spirit coming through matter, manifesting into the world, and everybody's fascinated by it. And we put price tags on art like you wouldn't believe. It's priceless is what we say.
Mm-hmm.
And we say the same thing about our holy stories.
Yeah.
What does any of that do to you, Kyle?
What makes me, we were talking earlier about how bad things are, and think about like the state of art and beauty today, and how like not good it is.
Yep.
It's bad.
Now, Matt says, and I think he has a good point, that if you go a couple layers deep if you go beyond the surface pop culture nonsense, there's good stuff to be found.
Yeah.
But what does it mean that the pop culture nonsense is so bad, that the surface level stuff is so bad?
Honestly, even
vapid.
I would say that for what I am looking for in content, I don't even think that there's that much underground stuff coming out that's good. That's good, honestly.
Really?
Like I think a lot of the underground stuff is just like ideologically, like diametrically opposed to me. So it's like, yeah, maybe it's underground, maybe it's not like getting made by Universal Studios, but it's still nonsense. It's still like the idea behind the movie, not the story, the idea that the story is expressing.
Yeah.
It's just fucking
Shallow.
stupid, and a lot of the time,
Boy.
But that's not everything. Yeah, I mean, somebody said the other day on Twitter that the left can't meme. Like the left making memes, they always suck. They're always very uncompelling.
Really?
Yeah, always. And she said that the right can't do art. I don't agree with that. I think that there are great artists who are right wing, most likely, but you can't, especially if you want to be a successful artist, you can't be open about being right wing.
True.
Yeah. So I think that if we just like stopped squashing down everybody who expressed a even semi right wing idea, you would see a lot more like right wing ideology being expressed in art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. There's a serious lid on that.
Yeah, no, it doesn't happen at all. It's like, I shouldn't say it doesn't happen at all, but very rarely.
So you were saying that the whole time I was thinking about country music, really is what I was thinking about. And then I remembered whatever the country music awards this last, cycle, whenever it was, and how like overtly woke the country music awards were.
Yeah, like mainstream country is retarded.
Yeah, boy, man.
Yep. Mainstream everything's retarded. That's the thing though, like I was talking about with like movies and things like that. Mainstream music is retarded but all of the small people who I like, if I started talking about politics with them, I just can't do it. They would hate me. They would think I'm, a Nazi.
So there's a guy that I like. I communicated with him on Twitter. He's a professor. He's out in California. I have about one of his books, and I was still planning on doing an episode on it. He's a fan of Rudolf Steiner. I did an episode on him early on, and he's also a fan of Whitehead. So I did a shit ton on Whitehead. So that's how I got looped in with him. And the other day, he made some remark on Twitter about, and it was so like he assumed everyone would agree with him when he said it. And I think that's the part that struck me the harshest, right? He said something about how he knows democracy is at stake in 2024, like with this presidential campaign. And I called him out on it politely, and I'm like, basically, why do you assume that Trump will be a dictator if he's elected, or that if he were to be reelected, he would act any more dictatorial than Biden or any other president in recent history? It's like, it's not. I mean, treating the United States as sort of a borderline dictatorship is kind of what's been happening for the last, in my voting lifetime, for sure.
Yeah.
Every president has taken more executive power and stepped over more lines.
Yeah.
So that's what I asked him, and then his remark to me was, did I? I don't want to give do a voice because I don't want to be nasty. He said, did I say he was a dictator? No, you didn't. You said democracy was at stake, and I assumed that's what you meant. And so this is the narrative now, and this Biden gave a speech. I didn't hear it, but I heard about it just recently, a campaign speech, and that's what the platform is.
Yeah.
That this election is the election that's going to decide whether the United States can continue to be a democracy, or whether or what. Nobody's explicitly saying, but it seems to me that means the alternative is Trump is a dictator.
Yeah.
Okay. What are your thoughts on all this?
Well, I mean, it seems to me like people like this person you were talking to are operating completely on emotion, because there's not even any guarantee that Trump is going to be the nominee. Right. It looks like there's a good chance that he might. He's just doing well in the polls and things like that. Mm-hmm. But they're like throwing every trick in that they can to try to keep him out.
Yep.
So there's no guarantee that he's even going to be the nominee. So like, if Ron DeSantis is the next president, if it's Ron DeSantis versus Joe Biden, is democracy still on the ballot?
Exactly.
If it's Vivek, well, probably they would probably say so with Vivek, because he's pretty. He says some pretty radical stuff. But
I see a little bit of like a Freudian thing going on here. I think that democracy is shaky right now.
Yeah.
And I think that there's more. Boy, I don't know what word to use here. There's more valid concern and criticism about the elections, the integrity of the elections in this country than is being allowed to be talked about or admitted. And if Biden wins again, that may very well be the first evidence of saying that is the risk of him losing. And what I'm suggesting is that may very well be the risk of him winning. Mm-hmm. So he's saying, we have to stop this from happening, but that's exactly what will happen. It's like I don't know if it's fair to say what he wants to happen, but I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I don't know. I think that's kind of like the nature of politics when you have a political system like ours where power like can shift hands. I think that you're just gonna have a lot of just fuckery, you know.
Yeah. It's a shame because it almost deteriorates to that almost inevitably. It becomes a game, and I think that's what makes the two-party system so particularly dangerous,
Yeah.
because it's always one side against another. If there were three parties, three major parties, or 20 major parties, I think you wouldn't necessarily have that same dynamic.
I also think that doing politics in, you know, the way that is popular in the West, you know, in the modern world, it also leaves it open for. So I think one of the big reasons that they don't want Trump to be able to be president again is because, like you were saying, it's been a trend through at least our voting lives that the executives have just been taking more and more and more power.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty powerful position.
Mm-hmm.
And if Trump was a little bit more, I don't know, cunning, you know, he could be really dangerous to them if he got that position again. So I think that that's a huge part of the reason they're trying to keep him out. And I think that, again, with the political systems that are in the West, it leaves it open constantly for someone to play the political system well and like seize power.
Mhm.
You know, like that's a serious possibility.
Yeah.
And honestly, sometimes I think that it's maybe the only way that anything's ever going to change, one way or the other, you know? So,
Boy, I mean, it's scary, man.
yeah.
I think that if Trump happens to prevail, there'll be some things that happen that are positive for the future of our country and government that are done for uh, selfish reasons by him. Like there's going to be good that comes of it, even though the reason he's doing it is for revenge. And what I'm getting at is I think that the weaponization of the government and the media against conservatives and against Trump in particular is something that he's going to get his revenge about. All of the frivolous lawsuits, all of the take him off the ballot, impeach him, all the FBI investigating people, the IRS investigating people, all the stuff that's happened. I think there'll be some real roadblocks that Trump at least tries to throw in there, and some ass whippings that he tries to ensure happens publicly, and all of that. But I think if Vivek were to get in office, there would be far more than that. That would be good for the direction of the country and in our government. What I mean is what he's talking about doing with the FBI, what he's talking about doing with the Department of Education, and really, really significantly reducing the size of the federal government and its ability to abuse its power over its citizens. So I really like Vivek, man. If it was up to me, that's what I would where I would place my vote.
Yeah.
At this particular moment, I like what I hear.
Yeah, he says a lot of good stuff for sure. I would still go with Trump, I think, out of the two of those two. I mean, aside from Trump, yeah, I like, he says the best stuff out of anyone.
I don't think Trump would pick Vivek as a running mate.
Probably not.
I think that Trump is likely going to want to pick a woman.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, at least I've heard talk about Nikki Haley, and I
fucking hate Nikki Haley.
Yeah,
man.
She's my least favorite.
She sucks.
Oh man,
I wouldn't vote for her if she was the Republican nominee. I wouldn't vote for her.
So I didn't know much about her until the debates. Yeah. And watching the debates, I wouldn't vote for her.
Yeah, she sucks.
The only one worse than her that presented worse than her, and maybe not, was Chris Christie. I thought he was terrible.
He was
terrible.
Yeah, he was terrible. His whole thing was just like anti-Trump. That was like his whole
and
his whole campaign.
Yeah, even Pence wasn't as bad, but he was pretty bad.
Pence is fucking boring, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I like Vivek, I like DeSantis, the way that they spoke, but then also Burgum. I'd like to see Burgum in the mix.
Yeah.
I don't think he can beat Vivek or DeSantis, but Burgum was all right, man. He was all right in those debates.
I didn't really watch any of the debates. I watched just highlights. And
Yeah.
Burgum didn't get too many highlights. So.
Yeah. But they didn't give him a lot of talking time.
Yeah.
And but he had some good ones.
Yeah. Oh man. I wish we could have gotten Trump in the debates, man. I feel like we've been robbed,
Yeah. Oh yeah. We have been
the
robbed.
best. Yeah, I don't love Trump. Like I think that Trump is kind of an idiot, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I feel like Trump had an opportunity that he could have really done something like historic. I mean, he did do something historic, honestly. He became president. That's historic.
Yeah.
But like he could have like really gone down in the history books as something special, and I feel like he just blew it. And I feel like it's because he's not like I feel like he's a great like media personality.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's not a cunning like operator in politics.
So it's funny the way you describe it, because that's what I can't remember who it was, but somebody was talking about the way that in the UK they have a prime minister and they have a what do they call them?
Queen?
No. Like
king now. I don't
know. I'm going to sound like an idiot, like a chancellor or something. There's some other position where one person is it serves as like the figurehead, like the public face, and the other one is more of an administrator. And so you have a difference in the roles.
Yeah.
Where in the United States those roles are together, and then the person who's the face person, the Justin Trudeau, also has to be this administrative person, and they're not.
Yeah.
But in the UK, they just split that up and have two different jobs for it. So you can actually elect somebody who's a good administrator, and then you can elect somebody who's a good speaker. What do you think of that idea?
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Why did we start talking about that? What were we talking about before?
I'm talking about Trump.
Oh yeah, just that he is like like a good media personality,
Yeah.
but I feel like he's not like a competent politician, I don't think.
Yeah.
You could tell just by if Trump legitimately believed everything that he was talking about in the 2016 run when he was campaigning, if he legitimately believes all of that and he put the people into the positions of power that he did, he's a fool.
Yeah. Yeah. But that makes me wonder how much he learned the first time.
Yeah, I do wonder that too.
Yeah. What would he do differently? I guess only time will tell.
Yeah. And the first indication of that is going to be who he chooses as his VP candidate.
100%.
If he picks Nikki Haley, I'm going to think that it's going to be more of the same.
Yeah. I think I'm probably there with you.
Yeah. I would probably vote for him though if he was. If he picks Nikki Haley, I don't know if I will vote for him. I probably still will, just because what the fuck? Who else am I going to vote for?
If the choice is between Trump and Biden, this is an easy decision.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll still probably vote for him. But
yeah.
I wouldn't vote for any of the other Republicans. Well, maybe Vivek, maybe.
Yeah. But
There's
nobody
still
else.
Something about Vivek that I don't really like.
Really?
But
yeah, I like him.
He does say a lot of stuff that I like, though. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Did you hear about his pregnancy thing?
No.
He said that I forget how it relates to like the abortion laws. I mean, obviously it's related because it's about parenting and things like that, but I can't remember if he said that people should have the right to abortion. If that's what he said, then this is fucking retarded, but I don't think so. He said that men, if you get a woman pregnant, that like there should be some kind of protection to where you have to, like be a father, you know what I mean? To where you have to be involved.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about that?
I'm for that. Yeah. I really don't have a problem with that. I think that, because I think that abortion should be flat out illegal, no exceptions. Very, very limited exceptions at the very least. So yeah, I think that Look, I guess like if somebody was like, why do you think that about abortion? I would say, well, when you have sex as a woman, you know that there's a chance that you can get pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get pregnant, those are the consequences of the things that you did, you know? So yeah, you can't like end a life because you were being irresponsible. And I think that that's a valid argument for the other way around too. It's like you knew what could happen, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of people are not really on board with that. They think that that's not a good idea.
What's the argument?
I really don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, I think it's mostly, honestly, I think it's a lot of people who are just like, there's already too many. The deck is already stacked against men as it is. We don't need another thing like that, you know?
Well, I can see because they make this argument for abortion rights on the woman's side. They say if a woman is forced to um, have a child that she doesn't want, that you run the risk that she'll be resentful and be a poor parent because she never wanted the damn kid, never, isn't going to love it. The kid's life is going to be worse off for it. So why not,
Better to be dead.
better to be dead. Yeah, right. Exactly. But I wonder if you said that a man has to, and I don't know, like if we're talking about enforcing this by law, but I think if you're saying that a man has to pay for the cost of this baby's well-being until it's 18, that's the system we have set up today.
Yeah.
Is it better to say, oh no, we don't want to encourage these people to not be together by basically forcing him to pay her so that she can now afford to potentially live on her own and cut him out of the baby's life? Why not force him to be involved, not just be paying for the baby, but be a fucking father?
Yeah.
There's a part of me that wants to agree with that, but then the question comes up: what if that makes the man resentful? He never wanted the damn kid. Now he's abusive. Now he's a bad father, and the kid's not any better off for it. So I don't know what you have to say about that, but those things occur to me as arguments.
Honestly, I honestly think that a child who lives in a home within a lightweight abusive father is better off than a child who lives in a house with no father.
Yeah,
I
agree.
I really fully believe that.
I agree. Yeah.
So I don't know. That's probably really controversial, but
Well, maybe it is, but how many of us didn't grow up in a household with a little bit of an abusive father?
yeah,
I'll just put it that way.
yeah.
I mean, men
Not the
are
most nurturing.
not the most nurturing, not the most sensitive.
Yeah.
You're gonna leave some trauma accidentally here and there, or maybe on purpose.
Yeah.
Two things I know we're getting close on time. I want to tell you. I met a fellow who's a local politician,
Yeah.
which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. State senator.
Very interesting, very nice guy. Potentially interested in being on the podcast.
Oh yeah.
He's a local politician too. Here's the thing. He's a professional wrestling fan.
Nice.
So if we have this local politician on the podcast, that might be a chunk of the conversation,
Man.
just about that. So I don't know what you think about that. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag in case it never happens, but just a random connection. And
how'd you meet him?
Through a friend, and we were texting back and forth, and then I bumped into him at the gym, and I met him in person that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Went to the gym right before the new year, and I would keep up that. I
Didn't want to be embarrassed.
I didn't want to be embarrassed, so I just sort of kept up. Dude, I have never been so sore. I can't even, it was like orders of magnitude worse than had ever been before. And I think it's because, well, a combination of me being older and not recovering as quickly and having been out of it for so long and going that hard. But I went to bed that night, and when I woke up, it was in the middle of the night. I was in so much pain because I sleep with one of my arms wedged under my pillow. So one of my arms is always up high over my shoulder. And I had this searing fucking pain in my shoulder. So I woke up and immediately I thought, move my arm down. You're in pain. It's probably because your arm's wedged under your head. Move your arm down. I couldn't. My arm was up here and it was stuck. Every centimeter I tried to lower it was like somebody was driving a needle through the back of my shoulder. And lo and behold, my other arm was the same way. So I was like trying to stretch them a little bit so I could get my arm back underneath my pillow, and I couldn't. So then I'm sleeping most of the night like a fucking weirdo with my arms down by my side, just laying like a plank. And then when I woke up the next day, it hurt so bad. I couldn't lift my arms past my chest. I couldn't straighten my arm out all the way. It was constantly partly bent, and I couldn't get my shirt on. I couldn't get my coat on. I had to bend all the way down to pick things up like a Tyrannosaurus. I had little baby arms walking around. I was so effing sore, I couldn't believe it. And then the next day, some of that soreness had went away, but then my biceps and my triceps had all flared up, and it was a fucking ordeal, man. It took me like 7 days to heal.
Yeah.
I still feel it a little. It took me like 3 days to be able to straighten my arm all the way.
Did you ever have workouts like that when you were young?
No.
Yeah.
I had some workouts where I really pushed it and I was very sore. You know, like everybody's done like a whole bunch of squats and then like every step hurts for the next 2 days. Everybody's like done a nasty core exercise where, you know, you didn't think anything of it. And then like every time you sneeze or laugh or cough, you know, you just almost want to hurl over. This was nothing like that. This was like old man sore, I guess. That's what I'm chalking it up to. I'm an old man now, and this is what happens. And it's also why it's important to stay in shape.
When I was in high school, I went and I worked. I was going to start playing football again. You know, I played freshman football, and then I stopped playing because I didn't get good grades. So I guess I was going to try to get my grades up, and I wanted to play football again. And I went and I worked out with the football team one day after school, and I did like the football players like weightlifting routine when I wasn't working out. And in high school, I felt like that. I had to call out of school the next 2 days.
Oh no!
Yeah, like I got my ass kicked, man. I did all the exercises, but man, I was fucked up.
And it takes you. It may take you a couple of weeks of doing that regularly before you stop feeling so terrible, you know.
Yeah.
But you gotta get there, and then you just gotta maintain it. You can't ever let it go, you know. And that's what I got to figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
It's a matter of discipline and time for me. Discipline and time. All right, last thing I wanted to ask you. I got a couple of things here. I got a Jonathan Peugeot, but it might take too long. The other one was I got into a little bit of a YouTube rabbit hole. I started off with me watching people using Google Earth to find weird things and then hike out to them to figure out what they are. That was kind of cool. It was like, what is this? Cool. What is this weird thing on the map? Let's go out there. Yeah. And some guys were doing it like in the hills, you know, wherever, like around where they live in the desert. Other people were like going to other countries and like taking crazy hikes. That's where it started. And then it ended up finally through a bunch of random things, getting me to videos of cops that arrest somebody or pull somebody over and don't realize that these people are like attorneys or people that know the law. Yeah. And just demolishes them. Yeah. And I just watched like video after video after video of this. And it got me to see something that I didn't really see before. I don't want to say this too strongly, but what I want to say is
fuck the police.
There's something about that BLM movement that is indicative of a real problem. And it's not systemic racism. I think that there are racist cops probably to various degrees, but I don't think it's a systemic problem. I don't think it's a reason to defund the police, but I do see in these videos, many policemen that are, first of all, entirely ignorant of the law and your rights. And even if they aren't, willing to bend and break them and be aggressive and to be, they're getting their jollies off of being powerful and fucking with people. And I saw this kid. He bought a dirt bike. He was a 14-year-old kid, bought a dirt bike, and the cops came because he was trying to sell the dirt bike online, and they monitored that.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, this is a stolen dirt bike. Let's go arrest this kid who's trying to sell it." And he had a bill of sale. He's like, I bought this thing. I can go show you the bill of sale. And they put him in handcuffs and they put him in the back of the car, and they were total dicks to him. And then it took like the sheriff or whatever the boss was to come down, and then you could just hear the boss talking to the deputies outside of the car where the guy's sitting, and he's like, "You did what? He's how old?" he's just like, "You can't do that,"
Yeah.
And it was just a whole bunch of things like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Cops are dickheads, man. I mean, I feel differently about cops than I ever have. I like them more than I ever have, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, the state of like modern policing could definitely be a lot better than it is.
It's bad, man.
Yeah, just like everything. Just like, it's a big fucking rusty bucket we're living in.
There are a bunch of people that they seem to be doing the same thing, and they're all filming it. Yeah. So it's like, to some degree, it's like you're kind of being a dick to the police. But what they do is they'll get pulled over and they'll refuse to give them their ID. Yeah. And he'll say, like, "Am I being detained? Am I being detained?" Yeah. This one kid was like, "Are you telling me that if I don't show you my ID, you're going to arrest me?" And he was like, Did you get that on camera? You're like, they know, but you know what, man? You should know. We should all know.
Oh yeah.
And it's one of those things. It's like the idea that when they're reading you your rights and they say everything you say can and will be used against you. It's like, that's exactly the truth.
Yeah.
Everything you say is going to be used against you, even if you're innocent. If they want to pursue this, they're going to use everything you say against you, and that makes them your enemy. And the founding fathers, like, they knew that. They knew that. It's like, the government that has authority over you is your enemy. And but anyway, like, the incentives are all fucked up, and they hire the wrong kind of people. Even one of these ladies, like, I don't know who she was, but they were like talking to her on the what is it called, the radio, and she said that the cops can be aggressive, especially the rookies, because they're scared and stuff like that. And it's like, I mean, I can see that. There was a dude who was putting garbage into a dumpster in like a business unit, and the cops stopped him and asked him for his ID because they wanted to make sure he wasn't dumping trash there, that he was allowed to dump trash there. Mm-hmm. And he was like one of the proprietors. He's like, this is my dumpster. I'm just putting garbage in the dumpster. What are you doing? And next thing you know, there's like 4 cop cars there. He's in handcuffs. You're just like, what in the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, I don't ever want to hear you say that Black Lives Matter may have been onto something again, dude. It's like a step too far for me.
I'm just saying that the power trip the cops are on, is being interpreted by that group as racist. And I'm saying there is this power trip with the police, and I don't know what it is. It's a disconnect from the community because they don't treat people like humans.
I think that part of it goes back to something we were talking about earlier, and it's just like the decline of everything. It's like there are no good people to make cops. It's like the quality of the people that we're getting to apply. This is what we have. These bullies.
There are no good people to make president anymore, then, I guess.
And there's no good, dude. Our military is in bad shape. So I really do think that a serious factor in that is that, like, just the competency crisis is what a lot of people call it.
Yeah.
Boy. The coming competency crisis, because it's fucking coming.
Jesus. Jesus Christ. I did want to talk to you. We got like 45 seconds till we reach our 2 hours. But I want to tell you, there's a couple other things that this Pajot thing I really wanted to talk to you about. I told you I was listening to him and he was talking about pagan symbols and how the church adapted some of them, and he was describing it's very cool. Maybe we'll save it for the next time. But there was a story in the news that I wanted to just bring up. It was a story. Tell me if you saw this one. The Navajo Nation.
Didn't see nothing about the Navajos.
Navajo Nation, like petitioning the White House or something like that to stop a space mission. I didn't read all the details, so I'm just spitballing here.
Yeah.
Because one of the things the space mission is going to do, I guess, is to go to the moon, on which they're going to leave human remains.
Yeah.
So somebody wants to be buried on the moon or something. I don't know, something like that. And the Navajos are upset about this. They don't want this to happen. They're trying to get the highest level of government to intervene and not allow human remains to be sent to the moon. I'll just stop there. What do you think of that?
I don't really understand why the Navajos care. But I also don't really care that they care,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to think about that.
So my first question was, is it a Navajo skeleton or something that they want to send to the moon? Like, is that why they're upset about this?
That's what I want to know, is why they're upset.
Turns out it's not.
Yeah.
This is their rationale. Because to them, the moon is sacred. And to put a body on it desecrates it. So they're asking us not to send a body to the moon because to them it's sacred. And doing so would desecrate the moon.
I think that's a valid enough request, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't think that anybody's obligated to agree to it. But I don't think that that's a terrible enough request, I
wonder if the flag we put up there in 1969 desecrated it. Is it already desecrated?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know either.
Apparently they put reflectors on the moon. You ever heard about this?
I think I want to say I don't know if it was Mars or the moon, but that they detected flashes on it.
Yeah. Well, when we went up there, we put these. It's like, if you flash a flashlight at a mirror, it like bounces off at the angle that you're shooting it at, but like the stuff that they make, reflectors that they put on bicycles and shit like that, it's designed to reflect back at the light source.
Gotcha.
And they put some of those on the moon when they went up there, and that's like
so we can shine lasers up there and
get it bounce right back at us.
Yeah.
So that's like people's argument for that we did go to the moon.
Oh, I see.
Because otherwise, how else would those reflectors have gotten up there?
I was watching that show I told you I've been watching on YouTube called The Y-Files.
Yeah.
And they were talking about some remote viewing stories, which were interesting. But these were the ones that the government was doing at various times. And apparently there was like 2 in particular of these remote viewers that were like really good. Yeah. They were training others and they were like really good. And they didn't exist. They didn't work together. They existed at 2 different eras, but they were the 2 really, really good ones. And one of them talked about a mountain in Alaska. I think it's called Mount Hayes, and seeing some kind of a base in the mountain and there being aliens in it, but also humans that they were seemingly working together or something. And that they were in communication with a satellite that was in deep space somewhere, positioned to where it was aimed at the Earth to receive signals or something from this base, but it didn't move. It was stationary. It wasn't orbiting anything. It was just stationary,
sitting out there.
Yeah. And then what happened was the other remote viewer, the other one that was really good, they used to verify which one. And he doesn't get any information about what he's supposed to be looking for. He just gets coordinates.
Yeah.
And he talks about a base inside of a frozen mountain. So he essentially, this is confirming the first guy.
Yeah.
And then he talks about the same stationary satellite in deep space Only he says that there's nobody in it. It's completely automated. It's completely abandoned. There's nobody in it. It's just been there forever. It's just been there for hundreds of thousands of years.
The Fortress of Solitude.
The Fortress of Solitude. I'm just telling you that because I thought it was interesting.
It was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Otherwise, I don't know if I buy remote viewing. I think it's probably nonsense. But if it's not, I
think it's possible.
That's pretty cool, Kyle.
Yeah. It is pretty cool. It's like the men who stare at goats.
Yep. MK Ultra.
Yeah, man.
Anything else?
Nah. I mean, you reminded me of that thing you hear about the shit that they were saying was happening in Miami.
I saw just a picture of all the cop cars at the mall, but I don't know what's going on. What is supposed to be going on?
They said that there were like 8 to 10 foot shadow creatures at the mall and people were like shooting at them.
What?
Yeah, dude. It's like, I mean, I don't believe any of it. It's fucking stupid. People are acting like that's a real thing.
What's the official narrative of what happened?
The official narrative now, I guess, is that some kids got into a fight.
Okay.
And it caused some kids getting into a fight in the mall drew the biggest law enforcement response in Miami history.
Yeah, that seems weird.
Yeah. So there are definitely things that seem weird about it, but I'm not like inclined to believe that there were 8 to 10 foot shadow aliens. But
bulletproof shadow aliens.
Yeah.
Did anybody die or?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that is weird. There were a lot of police cars there.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid.
Maybe DeSantis just doesn't fuck around.
Yeah, he's got a shadow alien team.
Yeah, he's like, oh, kids are fighting? Send the bulletproof shadow aliens. We got to put a stop to this right now. It's election season.
Oh, man. No, I don't have anything else to talk about.
All right. Well, in that case, we're going to save Epstein, Jonathan Pajot. I'm not putting them in this list for any particular reason.
On the plane.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to talk to you about, you remember that Amit Gwasami fellow that was on Rogan's podcast?
Yes, indeed.
I bought his book.
Yeah.
And I finally started reading it. And when he was on Rogan's podcast, he was, I saw him on a documentary and he was great. And then on Rogan's podcast, it was like really rough. It was probably one of the worst episodes of Rogan maybe ever.
Chowing down on a Subway sandwich.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
But was he?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, he brought a Subway sandwich on.
Anyway, his book is fantastic. It's fantastic.
I believe it.
And I'm not even I'm like a quarter of the way through it.
Yeah.
So we'll save that for next time. All right. And then also I wanted to ask a question, and I'll save it for last time as well. But just to give a little bit of a foreshadowing. I was telling you I was getting into all that math stuff, preparing for this next episode I was going to do, and then I wondered to myself if nature is mathematical because we find all these patterns in nature and math behind everything. If nature is mathematical, or if whatever governs nature also governs math. And so they look similar, but not because nature is mathematical, but because they're both an expression of something deeper.
Gotcha.
What do you think, man?
I don't know.
I don't know either. And that brings us to the end of our episode.
Boom.
Boom.
Well, there you have it.